welcome back to another video on the channel. As requested by a lot of people wanted to see the practice race I had with TRL Lightning and the little practice session we had before we went into the race, and I wanted to obviously upload it just to show you the difference between how I drove in this compared to the other one anyway. I think a lot of people wanted to see TRL Lightning as well. You can see obviously he got pole by about 3-4 attempts, although he wasn't really taking qualifying too serious. But the race I wanted to try, this was pretty much the last practice race I had before my race, although there was about a 5-hour gap in between the two sessions, so it could have been something to do with that, because this was the second practice race that myself and TRL Lightning actually had. The first one didn't go quite as well for myself. It was the second race where I started to pick up a bit of speed, and I'm wondering if this is something I need to do in the actual races for the FIA, is actually do a practice race before the proper, FIA race, because I feel like I need to get in a rhythm or something. We can see there both Lightning ran a little bit wide there. I think he might have picked up a little bit of a penalty there. Let's have a little look and see if he's picked up a penalty. It's not come up on screen yet. No, doesn't look like he picked up a penalty there, but it did look like he ran really wide, but he just about got away with it. So you can see at the moment he's very close to pulling away by a second. He didn't practice as much as what I think he would have liked to for this race, although this was our second practice session, so he was getting up. So he gets up to speed so fast. It's crazy how fast he does it. Literally the second race we had this, he hadn't been on the free practice, and he was already straight up to speed. You can see there. But watch the difference between our two cars down the straight. This is my issue with the Mercedes. Is I was in his slipstream gaining on him, and then suddenly the Nissan kicks in with the power and it starts pulling away from the Mercedes, even though I'm picking up a slipstream. So that was really strange, and that really shows you that they've BOP'd this Mercedes a little bit too far in my view. I think they've took too much power off it. I think it needs at least 1% more power back on, and I think Lightning would agree that Nissan probably needs 1% power took off of it to try it. Not only would that make it a little bit more equal on the straights, I think it would actually help the handling, because it's a very aggressive car to drive. It does take a lot of skill to drive that Nissan, and I think taking 1% power off will probably help it out in terms of laying the power down. So you probably wouldn't lose much in terms of lap time, but you're going to be a little bit slower down the straight, and just a little bit easier to drive through the corners. But you can see managing to stay reasonably close to him at this stage. I'm 1.3 seconds behind, doing reasonably well. Not trying to push too hard. I was driving fairly aggressive in this, and this is what I think I've got to start doing, because I keep trying to do the fuel saving way in all these FIA races, and it's just not working out for me. This race, before I did the race, I decided to try and push and just let it rev out and try and stay with him as long as I could. And I think this is the best way I need to drive. I've shown it in other videos as well, pretty much. But I always get lured in, into this like fuel saving thing. And I think in top split races, if you want for me to do well, I've got to just push the car. And then if I lose out on a few seconds in the pits, then that's fine by me. I don't mind losing that if I can then push and get in a rhythm, because I find it easier to get into the rhythm when driving aggressive. As you can see straight away at 1 minute 31.9. Now I think the first lap in my actual FIA race that I did, the FIA race at this track, was about a 33 something because of the battling and obviously not getting in a rhythm, and just I couldn't focus, and I just wasn't really in particularly great performance. It just wasn't coming together, and you can see the difference straight away. You can see how he's got that gap up a bit, but you can see again I'm going blue sector, but he's pulling away a little bit, but he's not just flying away. I'm managing to stay reasonably close to him, and I think actually I kind of make this gap not increase too much as the race goes on. He does increase the gap. Obviously I think at this stage he's doing very slight amount of short shifting, not drastic short shifting, just probably 3/4 shifting or something like that, just to save a bit of fuel. It wasn't obviously as drastic as you could go what he's doing, I think he said, but I think I remember him saying he was doing just a little bit of short shifting, which with that Nissan probably doesn't lose you too much speed anyway, because it's so fast down the straights. It's incredible how much speed that car has on the straights. You will have a little look as I come out of this corner, and as I go through this corner I get on the power. I've done that reasonably well. I've actually really hooked that up, and you can see I actually gain on him there. The delta goes down, but then watch the delta go back up as soon as the power kicks in on that Nissan, and it just shows you the speed that Nissan has. He's gained nearly a 10th. It's getting up to a 10th now or more, and that shows you that on the straights that car's gaining nearly a 10th and a half, 2/10 just on that one straight. So that car's really fast, and again I went over that with a 1 minute 31.8 I think this time. So again another really consistent lap, and he's not managing to like just fly away. You know, I expect at this point in the race for him to get a lot further ahead. In the first race we did, when I was trying to save a bit of fuel, he did pull away a bit more than this. But this race I was driving much better, and this is what I was hoping would happen when I got into the FIA proper race. You know, if I could have had I think what I need to do is really start hooking up my qualifying, because at the moment I'm failing to do well in qualifying, and that is what's killing my races at the moment, because you then get stuck in battles that you don't want to be in. If I feel like if I'm towards the front five, I can then afford to run aggressive on the strategy in terms of just pushing the car to its limits, because even if I lose out a couple of seconds in the pits, I'm still probably going to be further ahead than like P8 or 9 anyway, so it won't matter, and then you can just run aggressive again on the second stint. That's how I won my on the pre-season, the Ferrari 458 in the Group 4 category. That's how I won the Suzuka race, by just going for it and pushing. And I think I've got to start adopting that mentality and just get out of the fuel saving, because I don't think it's fitting my style. As you can see here now, I've managed to gain a bit of time on him up to this point. So far on this lap, I think I've gained 2/10 on him from there to there, but again then he's going to push away down the straight and pull away a bit. But you can see again, going to go over the line, and this lap looks like it's going to be a bit faster again, and it's a 31.7. so the first 3 laps on this race with the practice race I did was a 1 minute 31s and a 31.7, which was actually better than my qualifying lap that I did in the FIA race, because I didn't get a proper run in. And it shows you that I should have really been hitting 31.4s and 5s or something like that in qualifying. And this is, again, it's just that I need to start hooking that lap up in qualifying. Same thing for Brands Hatch again. Last night, that was on last night, I will upload that tomorrow. Unfortunately and annoyingly, I didn't record the actual race, so I'm going to have to upload it from the replay footage, which won't make much of a difference anyway. It will be the same footage, it's just that I won't be able to upload it directly. It will just have the borders on, which is a bit annoying. I thought I'd done it, I'd saved the replay, and I'm sure I've clicked the share button, but what I think's happened is it's not actually come up with a square when I've pressed it. It's not giving me the option to save, and I've pressed it when it wasn't there, so I thought I saved it and it hasn't. So I was a little bit annoyed when I seen that. I did do the qualifying before it, so I've got the qualifying session on there, which started off reasonably well, but then on the second run, again, didn't hook the lap up, and it's something I've got to start fixing, because it was always something that I was able to reasonably get down in the previous FIA in the pre-season. I was reasonably okay at qualifying. I was kind of hooking my laps up, and some of it's probably because I'm not getting the practice in that I would like. Something that will help probably is the track. I don't need to do the track guides for this Saturday's races, because I've already got the track guides on the channel. So if anyone wants to watch them track guides for this coming weekend, for Saturday on Nations and in the manufacturers, they are both on the channel already, because I've done track guides at Brazil, at Interlagos where we are here, there in the Super GT cars. I've got a track guide, and then it wasn't a particularly amazing lap, it was just a quick base lap done for that one, and the same thing for the Bathurst, and luckily I've actually done it's for the Mercedes that I did a while ago. I think it might have had a 1% more power. I think they dropped the power by 1% since I did that, but it's still an okay lap. I think it's like a 201.9, so it will give you the basis of what you need to do to get, you know, a reasonable lap at Bathurst in the Group 3 cars. It's an in-depth one, obviously. I've paused it and all that, so both track guides are done. You don't need to so if you're looking for that, don't expect it to be uploaded on Saturday. I've already got them on the channel, so there's no point me uploading and doing the same thing twice. So just check them out. I might link them into the description for the track guides for them, or put them, or do a separate video and put the links into the description, just to let you know that they are, you know, they're done already. So if you want to check them out to look at them videos, as you can see there, Lightning had picked up a penalty, and I think at this point it was increasing. Every time he was going through the sectors, it was getting bigger and bigger, because he had picked up a penalty somewhere, and he must have got the penalties over 10 seconds, and it started to increase and increase and increase as we're coming to the end of lap 6. You can see so far the laps again. The previous lap was a 32.7, wasn't a very good lap. A 32.2, sorry, a 32.2. So not a bad lap, considering that the tyre wear is kicking in at this point, and you know, I expected the lap times to drop a bit at this point anyway. And you can see again, lap 6 another 32, not a bad lap at all. So the lap times are starting to drop off a bit, but this is what I expected. This is what I was hoping would happen in the actual FIA race that I did. You know, I expected to be doing 31s and then slowly, you know, 32.0s, 2s, 3s and 4s and stuff. It didn't work out like that. I had a pretty bad race, and I think it was, again, like I say, it's because of the qualifying. It's my own fault. I need to sort it out and do better in qualifying, and I really need to put more effort in. I think I need to practice a bit more. Hopefully, because I don't need to do these videos for the track guides, it will give me a bit more time on Saturday to actually concentrate on trying to get into the rhythm of the track a bit more. And I'm going to try and put a bit more practice in for Saturday's race, because I've got to improve. I'm not doing well at all recently in these FIA races, and I need to get my act together, to be honest. I don't think these cars particularly suit me, but I feel like I'd be doing better still, even though they're not the best type of cars for my type of driving. I am regretting a little bit my decision to go with Mercedes. I think I could have had more fun, even if it wouldn't have meant me qualifying in the top 2 for the manufacturers. I think I would have had a lot more fun in other cars. You know, maybe being in competitive cars and battling for the top 6 or 7 places every race, but you know, sacrificing the fact that I might not have finished in the top 2 for the manufacturer. Maybe that's something I can consider for the next, you know, if there's an FIA after the 3 seasons that are going to be on now, if there's some sort of other competitions, maybe that's something I'll look at in them, to just be a bit more competitive in other races, because the SLS Group 4 car, in my opinion, is just not competitive at the moment. I think the Group 4 cars in general, the BOP is way off of what it should be. I think they need to really look at the overall BOP in Group 4. The Group 3 cars are not massively bad. As you can see, I had a massive moment there. Managed to hold on and catch it, and didn't lose too much time to Lightning there. As you can see, he's managed to get the gap to, you know, closing in on 3 seconds, but it's not at the 3 seconds yet. So I've done a reasonably good job up to the pits. You know, 2.5 seconds, and that's all I've lost going into the pits, which I didn't expect. Obviously, he's probably saved more fuel than me. I've been driving aggressive, but like I said, I think this is the best plan for me and the best way I can drive. It'll probably be more effective for me to do this and then just fuel it up, and then at least then I can drive aggressive for the next stint, because I think that if you get caught on the grids around 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, on the 13th on the grid, 14th, etc., I think you get involved with a lot of battles where people want to make up places, and it's really a dangerous place to be. So I just need to start being a bit more consistent with my qualifying. But anyway, what I was saying about the Group 3 cars, the Group 3 cars are reasonably well balanced. I think there is some issues still, but it's the Group 4 cars that have got massive issues in the BOP that I think they need to have a serious look at. As you can see there, Lightning's gone in the pits with a little bit more fuel than me. I think about 10-12% more fuel, which is going to make a difference in the pit stop. It's going to come out probably, it's going to gain me 3 or 4 seconds, I would say. Let's have a little look as he comes out the pits and then I come out the pits, because the fuel takes ages to pit up in this. Although I'm not sure if the FIA races have different rates of fuel for how fast it fuels up. I really don't know, because it did seem to gain him quite a lot of time when you have a little look. Now let's have a little look at the distance as we come out the pits and the delta kicks back in. I'm not too sure. I mean, he only had to go up to I think it was just over 60 litres he had to put in. So come out the pits and he's 6 seconds ahead, so it has gained about 3.5 seconds, that 12% of fuel. So it looks like, you know, 10% of fuel is gaining 10% of fuel is gaining about 3 seconds. So I'm wondering if the difference is, if it's a little bit different in the FIA proper races. But either way, I wasn't worried about it, because Lightning is one of the fastest on the game. There's not many people faster than Lightning. In my view, I would rate him in the top 3 on the game. I don't think there's many better than him. You know, some of the Japanese drivers are very fast. There is a few American drivers that are fast also, but I think a lot of the American drivers would agree that Lightning, I think, would be doing very well if he was in the, you know, American lobbies. I think he'd be beating a lot of the well-known names, and I think the people that would probably push Lightning quite hard are the Japanese rather than the Americans in terms of overall speed. I think Lightning's probably, in my view, he's probably, yeah, like I say, top 3 in the world. In my view, he's at least top 5. He's one of the best on the game. Obviously, some tracks will suit him more, depending on the car. Like he's in the GTR here. I don't think the GTR was particularly massively strong at this track. I think it was a reasonably good car, but I don't think it was the strongest car. And you can see there the gap getting close to 7 seconds, but I'm reasonably happy with this. You know, if in the actual FIA race I would have been about 7 seconds behind the leading driver at this stage of the race, I would have been really happy. And this is why I was so disappointed with my race that I uploaded, because my driving just wasn't on the level. You can visually see how much better I'm driving it. The car's not sliding around because I'm more comfortable, I'm being smoother, my inputs are better, I'm not making any rash movements, I'm everything's just looking more in control the way I'm driving, and that's why he's not pulling away massively, and that's why I really should have done a better job when it came to the actual FIA race. You can see there Lightning's fastest lap at this point at 31.4. I think he could have got that a bit faster. I think he did start getting a little bit faster after this race, but still a very good lap time for race conditions. I think the GTR's issue is with getting the power down. That's where he was probably struggling a bit. It's like corners like this in the last corner. I think the GTR has a lot of issues with putting the power down because it's just got so much power, and I think that obviously they could probably do with taking some power off it and maybe taking some weight off the car as well, because I think it's quite a heavy car. I also think what might have actually helped me out when the first time when Lightning was ahead of me was actually having Lightning in front of me and visually seeing how he was driving. Because I was concentrating that much on him, I was really pushing hard, and you'll see once he's not really in the view, my lap times are probably going to start dropping off a bit. You can see there first lap of 32.2, so not a bad lap actually, considering we got the fuel back on board. But comparing it to my first laps when he was in front of me, I was a little bit faster, and I wasn't in any slipstream in them laps either. So it does show you that when you've got someone fast in front of you, it does really help. As you can see, I think Lightning might have gone on a faster lap there as well. Yeah, look, he's now down into a pretty much a 31 flat, I think that is there. So he's really started to pick up the speed, and he's obviously pushing really hard at this stage. And I think he had the penalty as well, which might have been increased. I'm not sure if it was increasing earlier on, but I think it's possibly on the next lap where he probably picked up a penalty somewhere on this lap or on a previous lap, and I think he has a little bit of an issue. We'll have to see if it's this lap or the next lap when he's got a bit of an issue with the penalty. As you can see there, trying to really, you can see how much better I'm doing. I'm really hooking the corners up compared to when I was doing the FIA race. You can see visually, I'm not running wide, I'm hitting the apex, it's pretty much spot on. Like every apex I was hooking up, because I was just, well, I think it's just sometimes you get in the zone, and this is what I've got to try and do for my FIA races, is get into the zone and drive well, because I think I'm getting too, I think what doesn't help as well is even when you start getting issues and you pick up penalties from people maybe hitting you or tapping you, I start getting a little bit wound up with it, and I think it affects my driving. Whereas this race, obviously there was no need to get wound up, because you're just driving without anyone in your way, and I think that's how I drive best, when I'm not really getting in the mood. And I do tend to start getting a bit sloppy when I get a bit frustrated, when I've been like tapped into the rear or something. I start getting a bit frustrated because the games give you a penalty, and you start getting, you know, it shows in your driving. You're driving too aggressively into corners, you're getting on the power of that a little bit too fast, and all your lap times start to come down. You can see again lap 11 at 1 minute 31 again. I don't think in my FIA race that I did, the official race, I did a single lap in the 1 minute 31. So as you can see there, Lightning's had to stop because he started to pick up a penalty that wouldn't disappear, because he'd probably gone over the 10 seconds and drove through a sector. So he had to get rid of that, and now we've got just over 3 laps left, and he's just over 3 seconds behind me. So this was quite a fun end to the race, to be honest, because he's faster than me. You can see there pretty much 3.8 seconds ahead, and I've got to do 3.5 laps. So it was going to be very close. If he could, if he got into my slipstream, he was going to pass me, because that Nissan is just so fast. You might see him in that top right hand corner come into view every now and then on the replay cameras. He's obviously going to start pushing. You can see there 4 seconds the gap is, where he's now, my car was actually really strong through that middle sector. That was where my car was reasonably strong, and he wasn't really gaining anything on me through the middle sector when we were doing this race. It was all on this straight in the first sector where he could really get on the power, and the power of that Nissan would really take effect. Because look at that delta now, from 4 seconds to 3.7 is gained 2 tenths on me, nearly 3 tenths on me on this one straight. So that shows you the power of that Nissan and how fast that Nissan is. As you can see him there gaining. And one thing I tell you what is, when you've got Lightning behind you and he's driving aggressively and he's gaining on you, you do panic a bit. Even though this was just a practice race, you literally, I was just concentrating on the track and thinking, I don't want to make a mistake, because I wanted to beat him. This is probably the only chance I'll ever get at beating him. To be brutally honest, he would have beaten me comfortably without the penalty. You know, he would have been about 10 seconds ahead. He would have finished the race on something like under a 3 minutes 24 minutes 30, I think it is overall, something like that. He would have comfortably won by about 10 seconds. I think it would have worked out. But while it's worked out like this, I thought I'm just going to keep pushing, because I want to beat him in this race and see if I can hold on for these last few laps, because it's good practice to deal with pressure when, you know, to get some of the best drivers behind you pushing hard. And I didn't want to push too hard on these last few laps either, because I thought if I start pushing really hard, I'll probably make a mistake and he'll gain on me. So what I was trying to do was just try and keep it reasonably consistent and calm. You can see not massively fast through the sectors, but just trying to make sure I don't make any massive errors, because I had a reasonably big gap. And you can see there 3 seconds now as we're coming over to the line with just 2 laps to go. So he has gained quite a bit on this lap, but again, I had to make massive errors for him to really catch me up drastically. So what I was doing was just trying to keep it smooth. I knew that he was probably trying to push because he probably wanted to get past me after obviously picking up them penalties. Even though it's a practice race, no one wants to be beat, obviously, but I knew, like, obviously he would beat me comfortably if it wasn't for that penalty. But you can see they're down to 2.6 seconds, so 2 laps to go, and if he picks up my slipstream on the back straight on any of the laps, he's going to be really close. So trying to keep it reasonably smooth through the corners at this point, not pushing too hard. You can see there I'm just trying to make sure that I hook the corners up without overdriving the car, and trying to be as smooth as I can and not trying to make errors. As you can see, going through these 2 right hand corners, trying not to let the car understeer. You can visually see how much better I'm driving. You know, when I was in the FIA race, I said it in the force feedback, but it was a little bit different when I went into the lobby compared to the practice session and also the time trial session before the, you know, when you go into the pre-practice, free practice qualifying session. It changed in the actual race. It felt a little bit heavier for me and sluggish, but in this race it felt fine, and I felt like I could drive it a lot better. I felt like I could hook the corners up much better than when I could in the FIA race. As you can see again, they're going onto the back straight now, and he's not within under 2 second gap yet. I've managed to do an okay lap this lap, but he's now, you can see there, as soon as he's able to put the power down on that Nissan, he's got the gap on the 2 seconds. So we're going into the final lap. It's 1.7, 1.8 seconds as we go over the line. Yeah, 1.7 seconds. So if he could really get a really good lap in on this final lap, he might be able to pick up my slipstream on that back straight. And if he did, he would have been getting really close. So let's have a little look as we go through this lap, where I'm just trying to keep it calm, because I can see that, you know, for him to gain 1.5 seconds on me in one lap, I'd have to make a big error. So, you know, my laps have been reasonably consistent since the pits, around low 1 minute 32. So he'd have to be in a 1 minute 30.5 or 30.8 to beat me in this race. So just trying to keep it calm, stay on the track, don't make any errors. And this is great practice, this was, for if you ever, you know, when it comes to pressure from one of the fastest drivers on the games. You can see he's gained on me there, getting closer through every corner. Pretty much every part of the track he's gaining on me now. He's really pushing fairly hard at this point, and I'm just not able to really push more than what I am, because I feel like if I would have gone for them 1 minute 31 laps, I would have probably made an error somewhere and he would have overtook me. And I've come close to beating Lightning once before in Suzuka in Group 4 race, and that was when the fuel saving was a little bit different in that race, and I got really close to him. We were battling really close together all the way through the race pretty much, and the final corner I went for a move and we were side by side, but he got the win on that one. But you can see again, not managed to pick up my slipstream. It's over 1 second as we come to the finishing line. He's just in the slipstream now, but he's too far back. He's not going to be able to get any speed. But you can see how close he did get with that slipstream, just a little bit. So that Nissan really is a fast car down the straights, and worryingly fast how fast it is, because I think if you've got that Nissan behind you, it's going to pass you in the Group 3 cars. You know, if it's in your slipstream, it's getting past you no matter what. But that was a practice race, and that's why I expected a lot more from my FIA race that I did. You can visually see I was driving so much better in that than the other one. Obviously, different type. I mean, obviously I didn't have anyone behind me. It's a clearer track, but when the track was clear in my actual FIA race, I wasn't hooking the corners up, and it's something I've got to do. I think it's more to do with my qualifying. It's putting myself too far back at the moment, and then I'm setting myself too hard a task to get a good result. Suzuka in the FIA race, where I started P8 or something like that, and I finished about P8. P7 or P8 I think I finished. It shows you if I can qualify further up, I tend to have a better race, and that's what I've got to start doing, is really hooking up the qualifying and concentrate on that qualifying a bit more, I think, because if you qualify well, you tend to find that your race is a bit better. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little video. I'm going to be back with more videos, hopefully tomorrow as well. I'll hopefully upload the Brands Hatch FIA race tomorrow night, and then Saturday I'll maybe upload a video. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to get another video done on Saturday. I have to see if I can get a race done either today or tomorrow in the daily race, and then upload that Saturday. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I do upload every single day, like I said, as much as possible, and I do upload iRacing footage as well. So make sure you give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and thanks again for watching.